So product backlog refinement process is a meeting where a team, it can be a Scrum team or not a Scrum team, can investigate requirements, can go deeper into requirements, can actually find out a bit more about what they're going to do. I'm again hearing some echo. I hope the echo has disappeared. Okay, I hope we've resolved this echoing problem. So again, product backlog refinement process is actually a meeting or some event where the team can work with requirements. Who should present on product backlog? There should be all participants that will be engaged in implementation of the requirement. There can be a Scrum team, there can be product owner or proxy product owner or business analysts. There should be the one who are going to explain the requirements and the one who are going to implement it and test it and probably write some documentation, I mean user documentation on this environment. There can be also business people on this meeting, because if only a business analyst is providing information to the team, there can be some gaps in information and there can be some questions that business analyst can't answer directly. So it is good to have business people, but if business people are busy to participate in product backlog refinement sessions, then at least there should be proxy product owner or business analyst. When? In Scrum Guide, it is recommended that you will need to have product backlog refinement sessions whenever you need it. But some teams have a definite schedule for having product backlog refinement sessions. For instance, during the current iteration or current sprint, they can have 2 or 1 product backlog refinement sessions for the requirements of the next session. So you can have it whatever you like, but it shouldn't be more than 10% of the development time. So if you have, for instance, 100 hours of development time during the sprint, you can have 10 hours of product backlog refinement. During product backlog refinement, we can refine, investigate requirements. We can delete some requirements that are obsolete, that are not needed for the business needs. We can also prioritize refinement, and we can add new requirements. For instance, when you find out that some user story is not enough to provide a business value, we can add more user stories or split the current one into business value items and provide it for development as well. Why to have product backlog refinement sessions? First of all, you can have a look ahead into requirements that are coming to you, and you have a possibility to ask questions beforehand, not when you already got this requirement into development, but when you're only exploring it and investigating it. You can ask some questions of the product owner, you can ask your business analysts about the requirement, so they have some time to provide you details. It is actually the main point to have product backlog refinement sessions, is to know what is coming to you beforehand and to be able to question it. It is also good when a proxy product owner, business analysts provide you some requirements. You can also have a look at your code to see how these new requirements are going to be integrated into your system. You shouldn't do it probably during the product backlog refinement sessions, but you can have it, for instance, before your planning session. Or you can have this technical investigation between several product backlog refinement sessions. For instance, you investigated some requirement during the first PBR. Then you explore your code, which is connected to this requirement. And then you came to the second PBR session, and you as a developer, for instance, together with a business analyst provide a lot of details about this requirement to the team. You can also do some estimations during product backlog refinement sessions. Some teams make estimations of user stories in story points during product backlog refinement sessions, but during planning they break stories into tasks and estimate tasks in hours. Or you can also do splitting the user story into tasks during product backlog refinement, and then on planning you need just to estimate the tasks in hours. So product backlog refinement sessions provide you lots of opportunities to improve your requirements and thus to improve the implementation itself. So the very important item of the product backlog refinement sessions is agenda. It is good that when agenda is sent beforehand to all participants, so everybody know what is going on to discuss during product backlog refinement sessions, what product backlog items are on the table, what we are going to talk about. It is also good to know who should present on this event and what is expected from these participants. For instance, probably some developer is supposed to look at the code base and to provide already some additional information, or product owner or business analyst should provide some answers to some requirements that were asked him beforehand. So what commitments are on participants? It is also good when on product backlog refinement sessions there is a particular, it happens during particular date and particular time, so everybody knows where to go and when to go and can plan their day accordingly. So during product backlog refinements, as I said, there can be Scrum team, and Scrum team it is a development team, and development team it is developers and testers and UI designers and anyone else who is developing the requirements. There should be also proxy product owner or business analyst, as we called it in our company, and Scrum masters. There can be also delivery managers, but it is not a status meeting, so delivery managers can't ask participants about statuses of some currently developed, about the requirements that are currently in development. Product backlog refinement sessions are provided only for requirements for upcoming sprints, not the current sprint. There can also be domain experts, for instance, someone who knows some technology very well, but he or she is not the part of the current team. These people can be invited from other teams to provide domain expertise, to provide their good knowledge on some disciplines that the participants of the current team are missing. There can be also representatives from the other teams, for instance, data team or integration team, the team of the systems that your current system will be integrated to. It is good to invite these people to your product backlog sessions, product backlog refinement sessions, so they know what you are discussing and probably make their input there. You can also, as I already said, invite business people so they can understand how you getting familiar with the requirements. On one project we have very interesting procedure when during PBR the team is discussing requirements with their business analyst, and after the planning session the developers are calling one-to-one to product owner and describing how they understood the requirements. And then business get what they want to get. It helps to meet the expectations of the business. So the more communication you have about business requirements, the more expected result usually you will get, you and business people. It is very important during PBRs to track your time. It is good to start and finish in time, and to track your time during all the event. there is no sense to start facilitating timing before 5 or 10 minutes left. You need to facilitate the timing, for instance, every 15 minutes. When you say, okay guys, 15 minutes passed, what we need to do, what we have already discussed and what are on our way. For instance, we have 5 stories to discuss for 1 hour, and we are already discussing one story for 20 minutes. Does it mean that we should already schedule one more PBR session because we will not be in time to discuss all 5 stories? So again, facilitation is about creating agenda, is about bringing to the meeting the required participants. It is also the facilitator activities, and it is also facilitator responsibility to track the time. Some teams every time try to prolong the meeting, try to prolong the PBR event, and I think this practice is not very good because it doesn't provide people a possibility to be able to be in time because they can take extra time. So I written here the possibility of extra time, but actually I suggest you'd better have one more additional PBR session than every time prolong the time. But the best way is to be able to estimate how long time you need to discuss this or that requirement and schedule the event exactly at this time. It helps you to make plannings. It helps the team to make plannings. It is a facilitator responsibility to make time boxing, right? But the team should also help him or her. For instance, if facilitator tells guys, it is half a minute left and we discussed only 2 stories and we have 4 stories more to discuss, what it is better for us to do? If the team says they don't care about, facilitator also can't do anything. So it is a collaboration about team boxing and about the whole event between facilitator and between team. It is a very good approach to be able to make time visualization. You see on the slides several items that can help you to make the visualization of the time you are using. This is a tomato and it is a cook timer. It has a very bad sound, so you can, for instance, use 10-minute slots for each user story to discuss and set the timer for these 10 minutes, and when the 10 minutes is left, it starts ringing very widely and everybody can hear it and everybody understands that it is time to switch to another user story. These cook timers, you can buy it via internet. It costs very little, so you can start using it at your meetings. What else the facilitator should do? The facilitator should take care of environment. And actually, he or she should take care about that there is a conference room for a certain number of people. For instance, if you have 10 people, you need to have a room for 10 people with good ventilation, and the equipment in this room should be up and running. If you don't need a conference room, but if you need a video, if it is a video call or audio bridge, or if you need a screen sharing, so you need to prepare WebEx. And it is good to make it beforehand, because sometimes scrum-masters or organizers or facilitators of the meeting start preparing these materials right near the meeting. For instance, an hour before the meeting or even a day before the meeting, and then you can face the situation that there is no conference rooms for you to have this meeting with people. So I recommend you to schedule your events 2 iterations beforehand, 2 sprints beforehand. Also, as a facilitator, please make sure that there is a necessary stationery. If you need to make some notes, there should be markers, there should be stickers. And you should also make sure that conference room is available in time, that people from the previous meeting left the room, and all equipment is up and running. It is a very frustrating situation when all the team came to the meeting, for instance, 8 or 12 people came to the meeting and something is not working. You can't log in into WebEx, you can't log in into Bridge, video doesn't work. So it is a facilitator actual responsibility to come a bit earlier before the team, for instance 5 minutes before the meeting. Even if there is already some team is sitting in this room, you can say, hey guys, I would like just to check that WebEx is working or that video is working. Just let me please check that everything is working, and if there are some problems, certainly call to help desk and try to fix it before all team came. Because even if 10 developers are waiting for 10 minutes, you will have 100 minutes of development time is wasted. So if you're a facilitator, take care of this issue of environment. It is good to have warm-ups during product backlog refinement sessions. Actually, warm-ups are mostly used for retrospectives, but you can also have some short warm-up. For instance, while people are coming, because some people can be late and you need to talk about something and not requirements, because requirements should be heard by all the team. But you can discuss, for instance, how someone spent weekend, or you can play some games. You can, for instance, game thank you. You can say thank you to someone that made a good job during the sprint already, and you would like just say that you are glad that it has happened. You can also play association game. You see here management 30 cards, how it is played. Everybody is getting 3 cards, 3 or 4 cards, and then when a person put he or her card on the table, the person that is next to him or her tells some association about this. For instance, when once put the card with target, someone can say, wow, this sprint we were doing lots of stuff, but we still are not getting to the goal of the sprint. And for instance, if the card of box came on the table, someone can say, well, everything was fine during the sprint, but I still feel very limited as I'm in the box, very limited with technology, very limited with something else, very limited with technical depth. So it is just a warm-up. You can have it for 5-7 minutes before the meeting. Well, actually what I'm using warm-ups for is to wait till all people came and to have some informal conversations before we start doing a really hard job of requirements investigation. So, as for the refinement process itself, it consists of presentation of product backlog requirements, and it is done by proxy product owner or business analyst, he or she, showing how it is look like, providing some details on it, providing some diagrams, specifications by example, given when then acceptance criteria, all the information necessary to the team to understand the requirement. Then the product owner can do prioritization of the requirement, and it can be done with the help of, for instance, Prioritization Matrix, where you can decide what items I take you the lowest effort to do and the maximum value to get. So, and what items are taking you really very low effort time but brings very low value, so you need to think about how to add more value to it. And there are items also that brings you a lot of business value but takes very long time or very big effort to achieve, so you need to think how to split it. And actually you can do it during the these PBR sessions. Splitting it is good to do on business value, and if you have a very good acceptance criteria that describes this business value, you can split your user story on acceptance criteria. What else you can do? Prioritization on. You can use Kana model for this. You can see what features, for instance, are must for you to have, are mandatory for you to have in application. For instance, if login doesn't work well, the customer will be very, very dissatisfied. So it is basic functionality. Even if you do it on a very best level, the customer still will take it as is. There is other functionality on the performance graph. It is a functionality about performance. For instance, how long a user should wait till report is generated. The lower the time, the better the performance, the happier the client. And there is also the features that bring you very lots of excitement of the customer. These features are not must, are not expected by the client to have, but they're very nice to have. For instance, if the report is generated, it should be uploaded to some third-party system, and it is not expected from your application to make this upload. But if you suggested to the client to have this upload and implemented it, it can make him very, very happy. So even if you don't do this feature, the client will be okay, but if you do it, he will be very excited. So you can do prioritization during PBR sessions using this kind of model. After the prioritization, you can start discussing items. And again, you can discuss it as usually you are discussing. For instance, someone providing of developers some implementation approach and other people discuss it. And you can also use several techniques for this. For instance, World Café used very well for large group of people. For instance, if you have 15 developers, you can split them into groups as facilitator, and in each group to start the discussion about a certain requirement. And then you left one host in the group, and all the rest members of the group are going to another group, and the host explaining them the implementation approach that they find out. So this World Café works perfectly well for large groups from 15 people. If you don't have so many people, you just use a knowledge sharing. It means when a business analyst provided you the requirement details, someone from the team can say, okay, I'm going to describe you the implementation approach. It is better that it is not a technical lead or the person who is usually doing this. So these people for this knowledge sharing should change. For instance, for one user story it is one person, for next user story it is the other person. Even if the person don't know exactly how to implement, it is good that everybody think during the discussion about implementation approach, and this procedure that everybody should make their input, at least for one user story, makes people more disciplined about and more involved during product backlog. So, and when someone describes implementation approach, then everybody else can start again discussing it all together. And then again, someone else can tell a few words how he or she is going to implement it. But the point here is that these people should change, because what I observe from time to time is there is only technical lead who is saying something about implementation approach, and all the rest of the team just saying, okay, we will do as is. So there should be different people. After this, you can start updated product backlog items. You can add in more PBRs if you see that some functionality is missing to be delivered in some user story. For instance, a business analyst describing you some user story, and you are saying, hey, you know, we don't have even a tab for this. We don't have even some report where this information should be put, where this calculation should be placed. So we need first to make this report generation, and only after this to make these calculations. Or we need some place to show these calculations to. And product owner can write it down and can discuss it then with business users, or if it is business analyst will discuss it with product owner, and probably a new user story will be added to product backlog. So the team should also actively contributing into product backlog refinements and product backlog creation. You can also delete some product backlog items. For instance, if you see that this functionality is already done, or if you see that there is no business value in it, and you can change product backlog items. For instance, product owner was asked some questions, investigated the business case, and add more details to product backlog items so the team can implement it in a more expected and more required way from the business point of view. After product backlog session, it is good to do some summarization, when someone can say what was discussed during the event, what questions we have, what we have found out. You can do it as mind mapping, or you can do it just by words. So everybody just refresh their mind and understood how many stories they explored and what they need to do for the next PBR and what questions they need to answer for the next PBR. So summarization can take just a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes. It is again good to do so that this procedure was done by different members of the team. Not only proxy product owner or business analyst or scrum master. Everybody should be involved during this process. What also is very important during product backlog items facilitation process is estimation. Some teams prefer to do estimation during planning sessions, and actually it is correct, but you can start doing estimations during PBR sessions. It is also allowed. And planning poker help you again to have everybody deeply involved into discussion, because when you planning poker, everybody is supposed to make estimation, to show their number. And for instance, if you show a number of 13 story points and actually everybody shows the number of 8, then probably you will be in trouble, because you will need to explain why 13 or why 20 or why 40. So you should think over requirements while it is discussing, and only after these, when you understood the requirements, show your number. Not to tell, because when people start telling numbers, someone tell 8, the other say again 8, and everybody is saying 8, 8, 8. But when you are showing the cards, you're showing it in one time. You first hide your number and then show it right away so everybody can see it, and it is done by the whole team in one time. So everybody see your numbers, and then the people who have the lowest number and the highest number start discussing why, for instance, you have 40 and I have 13. Why 13? Probably some functionality is already implemented on this user story and you don't need to do something. And why 40? Probably we missed something. We missed some integration. Probably we missed some testing, hard cases. So that is why it is 30. For estimation process, you can also use affinity estimation. Affinity estimation is good when you don't know exactly lots of information about user story, when you are discussing it very high levelly. So you form a line of the user stories. For instance, on the left you have some tiny items, some items that take you little time to develop, and on the right you have some big items that probably will take you lots of time. This affinity line, it is good to do it actually in a silent mode. You discussed the requirements, all the team understand the requirements, and then this line is formed with the stickers where the user story's numbers or user story description is written down. Everybody is forming this line, and then you see how these items are distributed. Then you can put it into t-shirts buckets. Like some items came to XS size, some S and some L and some XL. So it is very high level estimation that can be done, for instance, at the beginning of the project phase or at the beginning of the project itself. And then for more detailed estimation, you can use planning poker cards. What else is very good to have after the product backlog item is minute of the meeting. And I very rarely see that teams usually have it. What should contain this minute of the meetings? The list of the items that were discussed. Because some team members or some people from the business side, for instance, can't have time to participate in product backlog refinement sessions. But when they get meetings, they see your progress. They saw that you have already discussed 5 user stories out of 20 for the next sprint. So probably you will need 3 or 4 more PBRs to discuss everything. It is also good to show what product item descriptions was changed during product backlog item sessions. So again, everybody was on the same page and can have a look at the description that was changed. What are the pending questions? Actually, it is the main part of the meeting minutes, because the question should have some addressee, who this question is addressed to, and by what time this question should be answered. For instance, by the time of the next PBR or by the time of the planning session. If you don't have the question answered before the next PBR, you will probably don't need to have this PBR, as you don't have more information on the user story, and there is no need to gather again all the people, all the developers, because information doesn't change. You can also tell what product backlog items are finalized and actually what of them are candidates for sprint backlog. You're telling these product items are finalized and they are ready for development. They're checked accordingly to definition of ready document, and they're done. I mean, they're done as requirements. You can also mention in minutes what product backlog items are missing details and what exactly they're missing. So proxy product owners or product owners see that they need to be prepared for the next PBR or for the planning session. Again, it is good to have assumptions in the minute of the meetings. You can have assumptions in the user stories itself, in Jira, for instance. You can say that our implementation approach is based on the following assumption, that we think that we are going to develop it in this way because we consider that this data will be provided to us by a third-party team, or that the integration of this functionality will be not done by us, or something like this. So everybody knows what is expected. And you can also to provide some risks in minute of the meeting. For instance, you understand that these user stories were risky, that it is a technology that you are facing for the first time. So probably you need to inform all the stakeholders about it, that there are risks in the user stories. Some teams understand that there are risks in some user story, and they put it, and actually they hide it into estimations. They say not that this user story will take 8 story points, but the user story will take 20 story points, because there are some risks, but no one is know about these risks except this team. It is good to show your risks and to make transparent the estimation process and product items refinement process as well. What also you need to do after the PBR is some follow-up activities, and facilitators should make sure that conversations, calls and meetings that should be taken after the product backlog session took place actually. So again, if some conversations between proxy product owner and product owner should take place, a facilitator can track it. Or for instance, if some technical meeting should take place between technical leads of several teams to discuss architecture or the application, this meeting again should take place, because the inputs of these meetings should come to the next PBRs and to the next planning sessions. A facilitator also can see that requirements that should be updated for the next PBRs or plannings are updated in Jira. If any additional documentation should be prepared, again, it should be done, and facilitator can take care of these. Or facilitator can ask someone from the team to take care of these. And if there are some agreements, facilitator again should make sure that these agreements are followed. So there is not only important to write it down in minutes of the meeting, but to track that it is done. Because if the questions are not answered and you came to PBR, you have nothing to discuss about. You have nothing to talk about, and you just wasted the time of lots of people of the team. This is the main information that I would like to present you to about the product backlog refinement facilitation, but it is a very small part of the information on facilitation in general. If you would like to get more information on facilitation of different kinds of events, on planning, on retrospectives, on collaboration sessions, you can apply for Agile team facilitation training that Agile practice is from time to conduct in different Luxoft locations. This training is accredited by IC Agile organization. It is international certificate, and you have a very good chance to get it if you are a Luxoft employee actually for free. To do this, you need to write email to me, and I will add you to preliminary list of participants. For instance, the next training will take place in Bucharest next week. So if you're from Bucharest, you can apply for this training and write email to me, and I will add you to this group and send you the necessary requirements to participate in this training. I think that after Bucharest, it will be probably Kyiv location when I'm going to make this facilitation training. And after this, let's see. But again, I'm forming these preliminary lists, and if there are too many, for instance, requests from Poland or from Sofia, we will make this training there, but probably you will need to wait a bit for a couple of months or for several months. Also, Agile Luxoft practice has trainings on Agile fundamentals track. It is the track all other tracks are based on. It is very good if you had a chance to first go into this training and after this start doing other trainings, because this training provides you background information on Agile. And also Luxoft Agile practice has accredited training about business value analysis. Again, if you are interested in this training, you can contact me or any other representative of the Agile practice and apply for this training. That is all for today. I'm going to look through the questions. If you are not from Luxoft and you would like to participate in some of these trainings, again, you can contact me. You have my email, and we will provide you the information how to do it, the information on the requirements and on the necessary things from you to take part in it. There was a question about a participation into this training from United States. Well, for now, I'm not sure that it will be possible, but again, if we will have a group over there, and for instance, some of our trainers will come to United States to some conference, definitely we will be able to do this training. What we do for Bucharest, for instance, we are piloting a very interesting format. We are piloting offline and online sessions all together. If this format will work well, probably we will have a possibility to make this training online, but we will see how it will go. In order to deliver a training to some location, the group should be no less than 12 people. But we should distribute our trainings efforts. When I say we, I mean Agile practice participants, very how to say, accurately to all locations. For instance, if we make this training in Bucharest, then we should make this training in Sofia, then we should make it in Krakow and in Kyiv. So if you would like to have some extra trainings, probably the program of or your project should pay for the costs of the trainer to come to your location, and then it will be possible to make the training in your location. So if some program or project is interesting to have any of these trainings that I already mentioned, Agile Fundamentals, Agile Team Facilitation, and Business Value, you can order this training from Luxoft Agile Practice by paying the costs of the trainer to come to your location and provide you the training. I see that all other questions are answered by my assistant, and that is good. So that is all for today. If you have more questions, please write it to me via email. Again, recording and presentation of the training you will get nearly in a week or in 10 days. I will write you email about it. If you have any questions about facilitation, contact me directly, and even if you have some work case to discuss with me, I will be able to spend some time and answer to you in details. So, thank you everybody for participating in the training, in the webinar. I hope to see you on our accredited trainings, and have a good evening today. Goodbye.